After 60, I avoid people. Here's why. Reaching our 60s brings a unique clarity about life, relationships, and the way we spend our time. For years, I prided myself on always being available, whether for friends, family, or neighbors. I poured my energy into being present for everyone, thinking that this was the hallmark of a life well lived. But as the years passed, something began to shift. I started noticing how drained I felt after certain interactions. Not every relationship brought joy or fulfillment. Some felt more like obligations than genuine connections. At first, I dismissed these feelings, convincing myself that being there for others was my duty. But deep down, I knew something had to change. At this stage of life, I've discovered the power of stepping back, not out of bitterness or resentment, but out of a desire to protect my peace. Solitude isn't loneliness, it's a choice, a space where I can reflect, grow, and truly savor life's simplest joys. It's the quiet cup of coffee at sunrise, the sound of birds chirping in the morning air, or the stillness of a long walk in nature. These moments don't feel empty, they feel full of meaning. The Bible beautifully reminds us of this perspective. Be still and know that I am God, Psalm 46:10. In the stillness, I found a sense of connection, not just with my Creator, but also with myself. Solitude has taught me to listen to my inner voice and recognize what truly matters in this season of life. This choice to embrace solitude didn't come easily. For decades, I measured my worth by how much I could give to others, often at the expense of my own well-being. But over time, I realized that saying no to certain obligations or relationships wasn't selfish, it was necessary. Protecting my peace allows me to show up authentically in the relationships that truly matter. If you've ever felt a similar pull towards stillness, you're not alone. This isn't about shutting people out, it's about learning where to place your energy. As C.S. Lewis once said, you can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. So here we are, embracing a new chapter, a chapter where solitude isn't a punishment, but a gift, a chance to live intentionally and unapologetically. Together, let's explore how choosing simplicity, authenticity, and gratitude can transform our lives. If this resonates with you, I invite you to join me on this journey. Like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. Let's create a community where we can inspire each other to live a life filled with purpose and peace. As we grow older, one truth becomes undeniable. Time is no longer infinite. In our younger years, we often took it for granted, filling our days with obligations and distractions, assuming there was always more of it waiting just around the corner. But at this stage of life, every moment feels more meaningful, a treasure too valuable to squander. I've come to see time as a trusted companion, gently reminding me to slow down and make thoughtful choices. Every sunrise feels more vivid, every shared conversation more profound. Even simple joys, like watching the trees sway in the wind or sipping tea on a quiet afternoon, carry a significance I never noticed before. Time has become more than just the ticking of a clock. It's the foundation of a life lived with intention. The Bible teaches us, teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Psalm 90:12. This verse resonates deeply with me because it reminds us that time is not just something to be spent, it's something to be cherished. When we treat it with reverence, our priorities naturally align with what truly matters. In my 60s, I've started asking myself a crucial question before committing to anything. Is this worth my time? If the answer isn't a resounding yes, I let it go. This isn't about selfishness, it's about self-respect. After all, every moment spent on things that drain us is a moment stolen from what fills us with joy and purpose. One of the most liberating changes I've made is simplifying my relationships. I no longer feel the need to attend every gathering or engage in shallow conversations just to avoid offending someone. Instead, I focus on connections that feel genuine, where I can be myself and where my time is valued as much as I value theirs. A meaningful chat with a close friend over coffee means far more than a crowded event where I feel invisible. C.S. Lewis once wrote, "Don't waste time bothering whether you love your neighbor. Act as if you did." For me, this translates to prioritizing kindness and authenticity in the moments I do share with others. By valuing time, I've found a new sense of peace, a life that feels fuller, even with fewer commitments. When we learn to protect our time, we unlock a deeper appreciation for the present. It's not about how much time we have left, it's about what we choose to do with it. Over the years, I've learned that not every relationship is meant to last forever. It's a hard truth, but an important one. As time passes, people change, and so do we. What once felt natural and fulfilling can shift, leaving us with connections that no longer serve the person we've become. And that's okay. For much of my life, I believed that maintaining relationships was a reflection of loyalty and love. I remembered every birthday, attended every event, and often reached out even when my own energy was depleted. I thought that the effort I put into relationships made me a good friend, neighbor, or family member. But as the years went by, I began to realize something. Not all relationships are equal. Some lift you up, while others weigh you down. This realization didn't come easily. There were moments of heartbreak, being hurt by people I trusted, feeling undervalued, or watching relationships drift apart without understanding why. For a long time, I wondered if I had done something wrong. Could I have tried harder? Was I not enough? But now I see that these changes are just a part of life's natural rhythm. The Bible reminds us, "Do two walk together unless they have agreed to do so?" Amos 3:3. This verse has given me peace when letting go of relationships that no longer align with my journey. It's not about blame or failure. It's about recognizing when paths diverge and allowing both parties the freedom to grow in different directions. C.S. Lewis captured this beautifully when he said, "Friendship is born at that moment when one person says to another, 'What, you too? I thought I was the only one.'" This is the kind of connection I cherish now, relationships where there's mutual understanding, shared values, and a sense of ease. My circle of friends and loved ones has grown smaller over the years, but what remains is richer and more meaningful. These are the relationships that bring joy, peace, and authenticity to my life. I've stopped holding on to connections out of guilt or obligation and instead focus on the ones that truly matter. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. I look back on past relationships with gratitude, knowing they shaped who I am today. But I've also learned to honor the present and invest in the people who add light to my life. So if you're finding it hard to let go of a draining relationship, remember this. It's not selfish to prioritize your well-being. It's a gift to yourself and to the relationships that truly deserve your time and energy. Trust is one of the most delicate yet vital aspects of any relationship. Over the years, I've learned just how precious it is and how devastating it can be when it's broken. Trust is the foundation upon which connections are built, but once it's fractured, the scars often linger for a lifetime. When I was younger, I trusted easily. I believed in the goodness of people, giving my heart and loyalty freely. This openness brought me many beautiful friendships and moments of joy, but it also left me vulnerable. I've been let down by people I thought would never hurt me, a friend who valued what I could do for them more than who I was, a family member whose choices created a chasm between us, or a colleague who prioritized their own gain over shared goals. These experiences didn't make me bitter, but they did make me cautious. Now, when I meet someone new, my first thought isn't, "How can I connect with this person?" Instead, I wonder, what are their intentions? This shift in perspective may sound guarded, but it's a necessary step to protect my peace and well-being. The Bible offers wisdom here. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Proverbs 4:23. This verse has become a guiding principle in my life. Trust is no longer something I give freely. It's something people must earn over time through consistency and respect. One of the hardest lessons I've learned is to trust myself. In the past, I often ignored red flags, brushing them off as paranoia or overthinking. But now I listen to my instincts. If something feels off, I pay attention. I've walked away from relationships, some long-standing, that no longer served me, knowing that protecting my peace was worth the cost of letting go. Yet trust is still possible. Small, genuine gestures from others remind me of its beauty, a neighbor who checks in after a storm, or a kind stranger offering help when it's least expected. These moments restore my faith in humanity, showing that trust can be rebuilt, even if it takes time. C.S. Lewis wisely said, "To love at all is to be vulnerable." I've learned that vulnerability is a choice, a courageous one, but it's only worth it when shared with the right people. Protecting your trust isn't about building walls. It's about creating boundaries that safeguard your heart and your peace. As we age, being selective about who we trust isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of wisdom. Choose wisely, and you'll find that trust, when shared with the right people, becomes one of life's greatest gifts. At 60 and beyond, it's impossible not to notice how much the world has changed. Life feels faster, busier, and more digitally driven than ever before. While these advancements have brought convenience and connection, they've also left behind something deeply valuable: a sense of warmth, simplicity, and genuine human connection. I grew up in a time when relationships were formed face to face. Neighbors weren't just the people who lived next door, they were friends who stopped by for coffee and a chat. Family gatherings were frequent and filled with laughter, not limited by packed schedules or punctuated by phone notifications. Back then, spending time together felt natural and meaningful, not something squeezed into a busy day. Today, even with all the tools for communication at our fingertips, something feels missing. Social media allows us to reconnect with people from decades ago, and video calls make it possible to see loved ones who live miles away. But these interactions, though valuable, can't replace the warmth of sitting across from someone and hearing their voice unfiltered by a screen. The Bible reminds us, let us not give up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but encourage one another. Hebrews 10:25. This verse resonates deeply as I reflect on how much the world has shifted. While technology keeps us connected in one sense, it has also created barriers. Genuine conversations often feel rushed, overshadowed by distractions, and real connection can feel like a rarity. C.S. Lewis described the beauty of connection perfectly. Friendship is unnecessary, like philosophy, like art. It has no survival value. Rather, it is one of those things which give value to survival. As life has become more fast-paced, I've found myself stepping away from the rush and returning to what gives value to my days: simple, heartfelt moments of connection. This doesn't mean rejecting modern life. I appreciate the conveniences technology offers, but I'm learning to place boundaries. I mute the endless notifications and prioritize meaningful conversations, whether it's a handwritten letter, a long phone call, or a quiet visit with someone I care about. In this fast-moving world, seeking simplicity is not about longing for the past. It's about choosing where to place your energy. By stepping back from the noise, I've discovered that the most fulfilling connections are not found in the volume of communication, but in its depth. The world may change, but the value of genuine relationships remains timeless. There was a time when solitude felt like something to be avoided, a sign of loneliness or isolation. But as I've grown older, I've come to understand that solitude and loneliness are not the same. Solitude is a choice, a deliberate step away from the noise of the world to find peace, clarity, and renewal. In solitude, I've found a kind of richness that's hard to put into words. It's in the quiet moments of sitting on the porch with a warm cup of tea, watching the sun rise in golden hues. It's in the stillness of an evening walk with nothing but the rustling leaves as company. These moments don't feel empty, they feel full. They're a reminder that life's greatest joys often come from its simplest pleasures. The Bible beautifully captures the essence of solitude. In quietness and trust is your strength. Isaiah 30:15. These words resonate deeply because they remind me that stepping away from the busyness of life doesn't mean giving up. It means replenishing. It's in these quiet spaces that I've found the strength to reflect, to heal, and to grow. C.S. Lewis once said, "We live, in fact, in a world starved for solitude, silence, and private, and therefore starved for meditation and true friendship." His words ring even truer in today's fast-paced world. Solitude isn't just a retreat, it's an opportunity to deepen our understanding of ourselves and our relationships. This doesn't mean I've withdrawn from people. On the contrary, solitude has made me more present and engaged in the connections that matter. It's given me the clarity to recognize which relationships are worth nurturing and which ones are best left behind. When I do spend time with loved ones, I'm fully there, savoring every moment without distraction. Solitude has also helped me redefine my self-worth. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that our value comes from how many people surround us or how busy our schedules are. But the truth is, our worth comes from within. Solitude has taught me to value myself for who I am, not for how much I can give to others. If you've ever feared being alone, I encourage you to see solitude differently. It's not something to run from, it's a gift to embrace. In the stillness, you'll find peace. In the quiet, you'll discover clarity. And in those moments of solitude, you may just uncover a deeper joy than you ever imagined. Why I choose to step back. Avoiding certain people isn't about bitterness or resentment, it's about protecting my peace. Over the years, I've learned that not every connection deserves my time and energy. This realization wasn't an easy one. For much of my life, I believed that being constantly available for others was a sign of loyalty, love, and strength. But as time went on, I began to understand that constantly giving of myself to others came at a cost, my own well-being. Life has a way of teaching us where to draw the line, even if it takes decades. I've experienced situations where my kindness was taken for granted, where my time and energy were treated as if they had no value. At first, I ignored these red flags, thinking it was my duty to stick it out, to maintain relationships no matter what. But over time, I realized that letting go of certain connections wasn't selfish. It was necessary for my own happiness and peace of mind. The Bible offers clarity on this. Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. 1 Corinthians 15:33. These words have guided me as I've learned to recognize and step away from relationships that drain rather than nourish. Choosing to avoid toxic or one-sided connections is not about closing myself off. It's about valuing myself enough to set boundaries. C.S. Lewis also reminds us of the importance of meaningful relationships. The next best thing to being wise oneself is to live in a circle of those who are. By stepping back from negativity, I've made space for the relationships that truly matter, connections built on mutual respect, understanding, and joy. Now, instead of stretching myself thin, trying to please everyone, I focus on a smaller, deeper circle of relationships. The people who remain in my life are there because they genuinely care about me, not because they expect something from me. These relationships are effortless in the best way, free from drama and filled with authentic connection. Stepping back from social obligations and negative influences has brought a profound sense of freedom. I no longer feel the need to say yes out of guilt or fear of disappointing others. Instead, I choose interactions that bring light and positivity into my life. Avoiding people doesn't mean I've given up on humanity. It means I've chosen to value myself enough to protect my peace. And in doing so, I've found a life that feels lighter, freer, and more fulfilling than ever before. Embracing a life of peace and intention. Life in our 60s and beyond is not about endings, it's about beginnings. It's a chapter where we let go of the noise and clutter that no longer serve us, embracing the simplicity and authenticity that bring us peace. For me, this journey has meant stepping back, not out of bitterness, but out of a deep desire to live intentionally. I've learned to protect my time, nurture meaningful relationships, and embrace the quiet beauty of solitude. These lessons didn't come easily. They were hard-won through years of experiences, both joyful and painful. But every step along the way has led to a life filled with clarity and purpose. The Bible reminds us there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. Ecclesiastes 3, verse 1. This is my season to focus on what truly matters, moments of joy, relationships that uplift, and a sense of inner calm that comes from living authentically. C.S. Lewis wisely said, "You are never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream." This resonates deeply because this stage of life is far from a closing act. It's an opportunity to redefine what fulfillment means. It's a chance to live not for the expectations of others, but for the peace and joy we deserve. If you find yourself resonating with these feelings, choosing solitude over chaos, quality over quantity, or peace over constant obligation, know that you're not alone. This journey is not a retreat from life, but a deeper embrace of it. Together, we can learn to value our time, treasure the connections that truly matter, and savor the small moments that make life rich. As I look forward, I see a tapestry of possibilities. This stage is a time for gratitude, reflection, and quiet excitement about the days ahead. It's not about how many years remain, but how meaningfully we live them. I invite you to join me in this journey. Let's share our stories, our lessons, and our hopes for this beautiful chapter of life. Like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel if this message resonates with you. Together, let's create a community that uplifts, inspires, and reminds us all to live with intention. Because when we embrace peace, protect our energy, and live authentically, we discover a life of true fulfillment, one moment at a time.